collaboration, not only for multidisciplinarity, but also to give teachers the confidence to work together positively rather than reverting to their home expertise. And Eva gave us an example, an unforgettable example, which you may care to share or not. But the notion of collaboration was fascinating because in Jose's talk, where he was talking about STEAM Teach, I'm working on the same project and looking at the Austrian requirement. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow. And it was fascinating because with 5 expert teacher trainers in Austria, the big thing at the top of the requirements of any framework is indeed multidisciplinary, supportive collaboration, both working in groups and indeed in a network. So that linking together is absolutely fundamental.
Thank you, Tony. So I think collaboration is in many aspects is really important for us. And then I think then there was lots of discussion about this. So both in researchers and then also for teachers, for students and so on. Great. So any comments to Tony or any other things then that you want to share in the group?
There's a comment from Dr. Yayaraman, if I pronounce it correctly, and from Irina.
So, Dr. Yayaraman, you can say something, and then Irina could say something.
So nice of you. I just wanted to mention the emphasis which we have given on STEMs, that is science, technology, engineering, and maths, is great by itself, and the best and beautiful minds are working on it. My contention is this: on September 28th, we are going to have the International Scientific Culture Day. That is, science and arts will be blended, and the international community will be celebrating for the first time this concept of scientific culture. We find, particularly among engineers and among the technologists, they become totally sterile with respect to the humanities and sociology. So the teaching of sociology and history of science in science classes, in STEM classes, has become a necessity. We have this problem which we call the Sir C.P. Snow's problem of the two cultures. Science on one side, humanities on the other side. They do not speak to each other. Therefore, we are thinking that we should bridge it by an introduction of arts as a glue between STEM, S-T-E-M, so that there is a holistic understanding of this, particularly when you graduate in engineering or in medicine or in technology. So integration of sociology and history of science into STEM is a historical necessity. That is my contention.
Yeah, so I think it's very important point what you are saying. And I think then that's why we have this STEAM conference, which is the arts is much more broadly defined. And then it includes creation and creativity, and then also sociology and history and culture. So probably if you were in the sessions yesterday, then we are addressing many cultural issues and historical issues then that we can bring into the classroom to spark interest for students and for teachers. So we are very much into this transition from STEM to STEAM, and then even more wider discipline. So it becomes more to an integrated effort. And then this afternoon, we'll have a STEAM Plus project meeting or a kind of introduction that how we can bring STEAM to the national level, to the policy level. So we have a very interesting discussion about this topic in the afternoon from 4 o'clock. So then that is great.
Thank you.
So I think it will be an interesting discussion. And Irina recommends us something for organization. We just realized this. So we have some of the abstracts, some of them the participants submitted abstracts, some of them didn't. So then that's why we didn't prepare all the abstracts. We have it, and then we will post it for the next conferences. And then and then there are some difficulties because of the technology, that some of the presentations were late or something. But I think we will address it in the next organization, because when the conference is here on the site, it's much easier to do it. But I think we will think about it for next time. And then so we are doing hybrid conferences. Usually we know the speakers in advance. Then this was then one of the biggest conference what we organized, but I think we will address these issues later. So every January and May we organize this conference. So the next one will be more on the arts next January, and then we are planning to have an arts competition here in Linz, and then some installations by artists and mathematical artists, and then it will be a hybrid conference. And we do lots of meetings on special topics like 3D printing and AR and other things, which is more focused and smaller meetings. And then also we run methodological conferences. So we will advertise it for you. And this is a bigger event because lots of people joined. So we didn't know the speakers, but I think it's a good point to address this. Okay, Musa, you would like to say something?
I was just trying to think loudly, but I think you have tipped to what I was thinking, and also Dr. Dayaraman, you would excuse my pronunciation of your word, Doctor. I was also tipped at it. As I was looking that, for instance, we have policymakers, we have researchers, we have educators or teachers who are practicing whatever in the classroom. If you look at these people or these groups, you find sometimes their goals differ a lot. A policymaker is there sometimes to please the public, is there to convince. I'm talking about the competition, or I would say the force from different political perspective. If the teacher is in the class would propose and would feel if this is practiced would take us to a next level. But where the teacher is intending to go is not where the politician or these policymakers intend to go. Some of them would want to win their position in the government and so on. If you look at the researcher, perhaps what the researcher sees is not what the teacher sees. Given, as we have mentioned in the morning, that there are some of the researches, though they are empirical, they don't really deserve to be kind of research because they inform almost nothing. They are not quite relevant to the practice. Why the policymaker does not want perhaps to reason to the practitioner, perhaps is feeling this practitioner is lazy because has not felt what the practitioner is going through. I think Diego has mentioned the point of stake examination, that by the time the teacher is struggling to improve learning or to design a very conducive learning environment for students, these policymakers are pushing him or her to ensure that students pass the exam. And once students pass the exam, parents are happy. So parents now, their mind is being tuned by the policymakers for the promise and whatever that's giving. So when we think of this collaboration, I'm seeing different people with a different perspective. So then I'm asking myself, who can come in between all of these parts and at least merge their understanding, to harmonize their understanding so that they can think almost the same thing. I had the same question to Dr. Jayaraman when I was talking about teachers, students, and the parents. Thanks to him, who has mentioned about the scientist as a neutral person to all of these three parts. But I'm asking, when it comes to a researcher, policymakers, educators, who can come in between, to the one that all of them can reason to and believe, so that they can think in one perspective. That's my challenge.
Thank you very much. I think it's an important topic. And then also in the afternoon, after 4 o'clock, we will talk a lot about policy and then how to influence policy. And then also we just had a discussion that how now schools are driven by policy, but it's starting to be changing. And then also looking at the grades and then all of this. So I think then there will be lots of changes ahead of us because of technology and because of the culture one, but is how students live their lives. So I think it will be a very important point to shift in this kind of policy. But I think in this conference and also this kind of meeting, this kind of creativity, what we are designing through STEAM education will break into the policy cycle to change the focus from grades and also this kind of one-sided assessments to a much more holistic way of looking at education. So I think what we are doing here is just really rethinking that how should be education in the future. And then policy is really important, but I think we need to be many steps ahead of policy, because hopefully policy will follow us and then not we will follow policy. But of course, we need to make an influence. And then if we are doing very good things, then I think policy will follow us as well. And then this is my opinion, but anyone can contribute. So it's a really interesting discussion. So
I think Irina has an interesting comment.
Irina?
Okay, last time I don't think I introduced myself. So Irina Lubrinskaya, I teach at the Teachers College, Columbia University in New York. So I caught only part of the discussion in the breakout room during break. I guess the breakout is for break, but anyway. I not sure, like full discussion I haven't heard, but in my opinion, like I disagree with the comment, if I understood it correctly, that we cannot bring collaborative learning or we cannot bring creative learning or inquiry-based learning into standards-based curriculum because teachers are preparing students to take exams and they cannot do anything else. I think we can. I think it takes just more work on teachers and more efforts on rethinking and redesigning curriculum, but collaborative learning and inquiry-based learning are not add-ons to delivery of the content or information, but it's a way of learning the content, and we still can reach the exams or accountability issues through a learning that promotes critical thinking, that promotes collaboration, but it's just more difficult. But even with the policies that exist, and the United States is crazy about standards-based and testing and all of that, it's still possible to do that. And I have personal experience. I did teach secondary school. I taught AP courses. I taught courses that require standardized testing, and was able to do problem-based learning approaches and so on. And I agree with Sol that the technology could help teachers in that aspect, but that's not only it. We cannot only rely on changes in the policy. We need to rely on good educators to do the work in the classrooms, and collaboration between university faculty and secondary school and primary school faculty. We need to rely on working together and bridging gaps between theory and practice to help teachers to bring that kind of learning in the classroom while still meeting the accountability issues, exit exams, entrance exams, parental expectations, whatever else. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point. And I think the consensus of many of the people here is that we are doing this one, what you are saying. I think it just needs to be more widely integrated and accepted. And then Dr. Yamayan has some questions. from you, I think.
Yes. May I ask, what is the status of next generation science standards in US today?
Well, it's in a slow process of being, well, officially it's being implemented. Unofficially, of course, at each local level, it depends on how it is interpreted when it's implemented. I mean, officially, the science standards are next generation science standards in most of the states. So again, this is not a simple question, because acceptance or agreement with a particular principles does not mean that what you see in the classroom, because interpretation from the standards to the curriculum and to the actual implementation in the classrooms is a very long process where a lot of things get lost on the way. And it also depends on the quality of curriculum that is adopted. Each school has, or each district may have their own curriculum. And it also depends on preparation of teachers. And in my personal opinion, and based on some facts, like I cannot say for the whole country, but there is not enough professional development for teachers to really fully understand and implement these standards.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So is there anything else then that someone would like to say? Maybe Felix, and then we will need to close for lunch. And I think we can leave then the room open for anyone to discuss. I will ask Susanne, but Felix, maybe you can say something, and then I think that will be the last contribution.
Well, I believe this description of how we ended up founding a private company. Because we were precisely looking
Felix,
for an opportunity
maybe you can start from the beginning, because we didn't hear the beginning of your statement.
Oh, sorry. This is actually like how we ended up founding a private company, because we were always looking for this particular position that can mediate between students, teachers, parents, policymakers' points of view. And we kind of saw limitations in being teachers ourselves, working at universities as scientists or researchers. Well, parents we are, but that's not exactly the position. And it's really like we were looking for a way to develop great things, to integrate great things into education. And now we ended up becoming a private company without actually being too much profit oriented. It's not about the profit for us, it's really about education. But this seemed to us the only way to find this independent spot. Just as a small comment on this discussion.
Yeah, I think, and then it's also a very important point, because if we want to work on education, then it's not only a one way to make an impact, but in lots of different ways. So since we are working here with GeoGebra, then that's also a kind of non-profit and open source project. And then it really makes a contribution. And then your work, and then many of the designs, the designing of software or approaches making impact or huge impact on education. So when we started, it was very small and so on, but now we have more than 100 million students using it, and then policy starts to take it seriously. And I think it's all different kind of directions we need to approach education, and that's why it's great to meet and then exchange ideas and then collaborate, because then that's how we can contribute, and then also in this kind of bottom-up or underground solutions could lead to substantial changes most of the time. It's not necessary on the policy changes. So I could say some ideas about the Hungarian policy changes when a successful program destroyed by some policy changes, but I think that is a longer story. So very nice. So I think everyone needs to have lunch, and then we will have really amazing talks in the afternoon. So from Open Design Africa, and then we will have some really interesting geometry and architecture session, and then we will have a discussion forum by Kristóf Fenyvesi, and I think I will say something. And then some of you have breakfast, some of you have dinner, and it's really many of you are heroes to wake up early or staying up late in the conference. So thank you very much for your kind attention. So we will leave the room open. So if you want to chat with each other or something, then it's possible. And then we will be back, I think it's 13:15 Linz time, whatever is your time of your breakfast or dinner or tea or whatever it is. So thank you very much. Eva, is there anything then that we need to share?
I think everything is addressed. This is a really interesting discussion and a very valuable one. I'm really happy that everybody's collaborating and everybody's so patient. And we will commence in about an hour. So if you're not sure about the time zone, then just come back in an hour and 10 minutes, and then that's when we are going to start again. And please be patient when we have some technical difficulties. It might just happen that something starts a bit earlier or a bit later than scheduled. We can't help it, unfortunately, because if we were all present, then we wouldn't have that problem.
Okay, and thank you very much for the background technical team and then whatever is making possible. So enjoy your lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever. Walk